10,000 acres of wooded residential land were scorched in an instant when a laser cannon aboard the Strategic Defense Peace Platform misfired today during routine startup tests.
RoboCop to me is essentially a satire. It's a satire of the 80s. Some people say it's a satire of Reaganomics.
We've entered into a contract with the city to run local law enforcement.
But it's just a satire of that kind of era when everybody was getting rich and everybody in business were being tough and stuff like that.
There's a new guy in town. His name's RoboCop.
Bob Morton was a character that had been kicking around in my head for a while.
He doesn't have a name. He's got a program. He's product.
He's like the quintessential yuppie. He's only into consumption. He's only into excess. He's only into self-satisfaction. He's only into furthering himself, and he has no other agenda except himself, which was what many of the yuppies were criticized for back in the 1980s.
Welcome to the club, Bob.
Businessmen were reading Asian martial arts books to learn how to be better businessmen, and they were calling each other killers, and they were talking about hostile takeovers.
Now that's how it's done in the big leagues, Johnson. You see an opening, you go.
And so I was trying to raise it just to the thing where they really were killing each other.
I'm cashing you out.
It's a cliche now, but at the time it was kind of fun to watch the, you know, sort of the vicious yuppies.
Fuck Jones. He fumbled the ball and I was there to pick it up.
RoboCop was really trying to write a funny movie that was masquerading as a genre, sci-fi, Terminator kind of movie.
You probably don't think I'm a very nice guy, do you?
Buddy, I think you're slime.
Paul always said he wanted to make Murphy's death the most violent scene imaginable because you cannot have the resurrection until you have the crucifixion.
Paul really immersed himself in that part of the film, killing the hero 25 minutes in.
The figure of Jesus has always fascinated me, and the mythological narrative in the Gospels fascinates me too. When I got the script, I started to realize that in some way RoboCop had something to do, for me at least, with Jesus. These themes of crucifixion and by a sword. Even Jesus ultimately seemed to have promoted weapons.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
It is more or less a machine, and later on it becomes more and more a human being.
You're a cop! Cop!
It's the classic struggle for identity, the classic struggle for people trying to assert their own individuality.
Yes, I am a cop.
And trying to retain that individuality in a world that insists on being bland and superficial and violent and knee-jerk.
His soul is real, and that makes the film, I think, so interesting. That makes this character of RoboCop so interesting.
One of the elements that was extremely important was really the scenes where Murphy visits his house.
Welcome, shopper. Let's take a stroll through your new home.
And then you get these flashes of the past. This kind of in the brain going stuff that you would participate in the brains of a half man, half robot were extremely seductive to me because I felt there nearly a theological significance, meaning the search for the lost paradise.
Did they blank his memory? How much does he remember? Who owns his personality once the memory is blanked? Those are all existential questions that I thought were really fun to explore in the script.
Do you have a name?
He's obviously in an existential dilemma. He's being driven by forces that he doesn't understand. And what it is just his own life. It's his own humanity. And eventually, of course, that breaks through.
RoboCop is remembering that he's not a robot, but remembering that somewhere in the part of the brain that's still alive, that he's Murphy.
He can never go back. He's always going to be something different. He's not a man, he's not a machine, he's something different. He's his own creature, maybe.
Then in a wonderful revolutionary flourish, the created turns on the creator, just like the Frankenstein myth.
You are under arrest.
But in this case, on the side of law and order.
Aiding and abetting a known felon.
Which is kind of reactionary in a way.
It became very clear that we had a character who was half machine and half human.
Can you do that, Dad?
It also became obvious that the machine elements would be represented very suitably by the synthesizer music and the electronic percussion. And the human part of the character would be represented by an orchestra to make him more human. I went through 6 or 7 themes until we finally landed upon the RoboCop march. Paul Verhoeven, he would walk around my studio like RoboCop, and he would move, you know, his arms and his head to just give me the idea of how he wanted it to be fluid. It's a pretty cool way to approach it.
And making the violence over the top made it more palatable because it becomes humorous.
I hate movies where violence is elliptic. I think to see people shooting and then you see somebody on the street or just like this without showing what damage a shot does, I don't think that's a big advantage. The original version of RoboCop that ultimately was, let's say, changed because of the MPA, the violence, of course, was much harsher in my cut.
Okay, Funzo.
Then it appeared in the theaters.
Okay, Funzo.
By making the violence less, by making the violence more elliptic, you were taking away the, let's say, nearly the burlesque or the grotesque of my staging. That was so much over the top that it was nearly kind of absurd. When the at 209 shoots the guy in the boardroom, it went on and on as the guy on the table is shot 60 times. And then the next line was,
Somebody want to call a goddamn paramedic?
And I thought that worked so well because it was completely absurd. The guy was gone, you know. There was nothing left nearly of him. It was completely exploded.
All right, don't touch him.
And then Mr. Jones comes to the old man.
I'm sure it's only a glitch. A temporary setback.
That worked all much funnier when it was over the top.
You call this a glitch?
RoboCop is really fascism for liberals. The picture has a very liberal viewpoint and does it in the most violent way imaginable.
I don't make political statements. I think that I'm really reflecting what's happening in society.
Nuke 'em. Get them before they get you.
This is my perception of the United States.
We practically are the military.
This is what I feel that's happening in the United States. I don't condemn it, and I don't admire it. It's more that I see it, and I want to portray it.
Whoa, a new type!
America without guns, that's not America.
And I don't want to hear any more talk about strike. We're not plumbers. We're police officers.
There was a police screening, and I thought the police were going to be offended that we were making fun of, you know, their life and death stuff. I really, you know, as we got closer, I got nervous. And what surprised me was they loved it.
So to have a blue-collar individual who has been stomped on by both the good guys and the bad guys come up and be empowered to do something is a very fulfilling experience for an unempowered audience.
And I remember a preview in New York, in a very rough theater, where a lot of ethnic people and pretty much blue-collar.
The summer's new superhero is America's new super hit movie, RoboCop.
It was so, let's say, fascinating to see people participate. And the American audience is always more participant in the movies than, for example, a Dutch audience. They are much more inclined to yell something to the screen, or applaud, or scream, or whatever. At the end of the movie, when the man says to RoboCop,
Nice shooting, son. What's your name?
the whole audience, before he could answer, yelled, "Murphy!"
I believe the Boy Scouts of America had some sort of presentation with RoboCop and Richard Nixon, and I was never really sure what the details were, but the meeting of the two just sort of boggles the mind.
When people have faith that the streets are policed by incorruptible individuals, which in a way RoboCop was, it renews a sense of community, and I think that's where the film also sort of touched people's unconscious, because they felt there was somebody out there who was not corruptible.
Pakistan is threatening my border!
That's it, Buster. No more military aid.
It's more relevant now than it was, unfortunately.
The entire outer skin will be like this.
It's titanium, laminated with Kevlar.
You can't be a Luddite. You have to just say it's here. I mean, look around you. They're all wearing the Kevlar stuff now, and we put that in RoboCop because it was the new Army stuff, and they're all going that way. The LAPD is becoming more like paramilitary forces, and they look just like peacekeeping troops, and I think it's because that's the, you know, what the cities are demanding now.
We can expect 209 to become the hot military product for the next decade.
Now we have more Dick Jones vision of law enforcement, a militarism in which no secrets get out, which is really troubling when you think about it. But, you know, that's, America deserves that. It's a land of private property where everything has to be owned, serial numbered, protected, and controlled. We're addicted to a pretty bad drug called capitalism, and until we get over that, we're going to need police in the way that they are.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Hey guys, it's Lisa with a cool movie extra fact now. Rick Baker is one of the most well-known makeup artists in the film industry. His work has been used in such films as Star Wars, King Kong, The Exorcist, Videodrome, Men in Black, The Ring, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But it was his work on An American Werewolf in London which caused the Academy Awards to create a whole new category for makeup effects, just so Baker could get his golden statue for his efforts. As of 2018, Baker has won that award 7 times. Do you like my shirt? You can get one for yourself in the shop section under the video.